The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire. Chapter 1. Introduction. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath. Imagine you are standing on a dusty hill overlooking the Tiber River. The year is 753 BC. There is nothing here yet, just a few huts, a campfire, shepherds watching their sheep. This is where it all begins. Rome was not built in a day. You have heard this saying before, but have you ever wondered what it truly means? The story of Rome is the story of patience, of small decisions that grew into an empire, of men who dreamed bigger than anyone thought possible. This is not a history lesson with dates and names to remember. This is a story, a long, slow story that will carry you away from your worries and into another world. Let the noise of your day fade. Let your breathing slow down, and listen. Chapter 2. The Kingdom. 7 kings ruled over Rome before the empire began. The first was Romulus. According to the old stories, Romulus and his twin brother, Remus, were raised by a wolf, a she-wolf, who found them crying in a basket on the river. Historians today are not sure if this really happened, but that does not matter. What matters is what the story tells us. The Romans believed they came from strength, from survival, from a wolf mother who would not let her cubs die. For 244 years, kings ruled Rome. Some were wise, some were cruel. The last king was Tarquin the Proud. He was so harsh, so unfair, that the people of Rome said, "No more." They threw him out, and they made a promise. Never again would one man hold all the power. This promise would shape Rome for the next 500 years. Chapter 3. The Republic. The Romans created something new. They called it a republic. Every year, the people elected 2 leaders called consuls. These consuls shared power. They could even say no to each other if they disagreed. Imagine that. A system built on disagreement, on balance, on the idea that no single person should have the final word. For centuries this worked. Rome grew slowly, like a tree spreading its roots. They conquered their neighbors in Italy. Then they looked across the sea to Carthage, a great city in North Africa. The wars against Carthage were long and terrible. Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, crossed the Alps with elephants. Can you picture it? Massive creatures marching through snow and ice, soldiers shivering in the cold, all to attack Rome from the north. Rome survived. They always survived. And after they defeated Carthage, there was no one left to challenge them. The Mediterranean became a Roman lake. But something changed. With victory came wealth. With wealth came greed. And with greed came the end of the Republic. Chapter 4. The Fall of the Republic. The generals became more powerful than the politicians. Men like Julius Caesar. You have heard his name. You know what happened next. In 49 BC, Caesar crossed a small river called the Rubicon. This was forbidden. No general was allowed to bring his army into Italy. But Caesar did it anyway. He said the words that echo through history. The die is cast. Civil war followed. Caesar won. He made himself dictator for life. The Republic was dead. On the Ides of March, 60 senators surrounded Caesar and stabbed him 23 times. They thought they were saving Rome, but they only started another civil war. From this chaos rose a new leader, Caesar's adopted son, a young man named Octavian. He was smart, patient, ruthless when he needed to be. He defeated all his enemies and changed his name to Augustus, the revered one. And with that, the Roman Empire began. Chapter 5. The Golden Age. For 200 years, Rome was at peace. Historians call this The Pax Romana, the Roman peace. It was not perfect. There were still wars at the borders, still slaves working in the fields, still rich and poor. But for most people, life got better. Roads connected the empire. You could travel from Britain to Egypt without leaving Roman territory. The same laws protected you everywhere. The same coins bought you bread and wine. Imagine living in that world, a world where you could walk for months and never leave your empire, where the biggest building in your city was not a palace or a temple, it was an aqueduct, bringing clean water to everyone, free. The emperors during this time built wonders. Hadrian built a wall across Britain. Trajan built a massive forum and a column covered in carvings. Marcus Aurelius wrote books about philosophy while fighting wars in the frozen north. But nothing lasts forever. Every empire has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Rome was no different. Chapter 6. The Decline and Fall. It did not happen in 1 year, or 10 years, or even 100 years. Rome fell so slowly that most people did not notice it was happening. The problems started inside. Emperors were assassinated again and again. In one 50-year period, 26 men sat on the throne. Most of them died violently. The army became more loyal to their generals than to Rome. Borders were hard to defend because the empire was too big. And then came the migrations, whole tribes of people moving across Europe. The Goths, the Vandals, the Franks, they were running from the Huns, fierce warriors from the east, and they were looking for a place to live. In 410 AD, the Goths sacked Rome. They broke through the walls and looted the city for 3 days. It was the first time in 800 years that an enemy had entered Rome. The Western Roman Empire limped along for another 66 years. But in 476 AD, a German general named Odoacer said there was no need for an emperor anymore. He sent the imperial crown to Constantinople and said, "We are done." Conclusion. And just like that, the empire was gone. The aqueducts stopped working. The roads fell apart. People forgot how to build with concrete. The great libraries crumbled into dust. But here is the secret. Rome never truly disappeared. Their language lived on in French, Spanish, Italian. Their laws live on in our courts. Their buildings inspired the architects of Washington and London. Their story reminds us that nothing is permanent, that even the greatest empires rise, stand tall for a time, and then fade into memory. You are almost asleep now. Let the sound of my voice be the last thing you hear tonight. The Roman Empire rose, it fell, and now you can rest. Thank you for listening. Good night.